pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Seems like we just had the town board meeting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
short month.
yeah, March 1st. Welcome to the March meeting. Welcome to March Madness. Committee reports. Conservation Board.
Oh, okay.
That's you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. The Conservation Board has taken a look at a number of issues recently. First of all, I've been dealing with the Cedar Street Cemetery. There's a new adjacent neighbor there, and we're taking a look actually at the tree line that actually goes between that property. You have obviously the path for the school, and then obviously the cemetery itself. We're looking to actually try to prune and cut down some trees that we feel collectively are a bit dangerous, more so for the kids that cross through there. So that's one project we're working on now. The county cemetery committee meeting is on March 14th, and what I've tasked the committee with is I want to officially say that we're joining the 501c3, which of course, as I mentioned in the past, which hopefully would provide private funding, which would be split up through the 6 towns equally. And then obviously can be used, and people could, of course, always ask for it to be specifically dealing with a certain grave or cemetery or whatever. The other thing also is Michael Robinson made a nice temporary sign at the Mountain Avenue Cemetery. I'd like to create one at least for the Cedar Street Cemetery as well. Then also the county cemetery visit, both Carmel and Philipstown have volunteered. I volunteered us for a county visit. I'd like to kind of do that in either May or June, so we obviously have to put an agenda together. And that does include actually walk downs of the village cemeteries as well. I'm interested also in Carmel. I've been working with them because they did quite a few advancements and changes as well. And the next meeting is March 13th.
Thanks, Mike.
Thank you.
Recreation.
That's me. I attended the 227 meeting of the Philipstown Recreation Commission, and the minutes were read for the prior meeting. They were read and approved, and the financial report for January was also reviewed. As far as programming, the summer book comes out next week, and registration starts on March 12th for residents and March 19th for non-residents. Last year, we had an overwhelming amount of people for the summer camps, and they were packed every week. So if you're interested, get the phone ready on March 12th or go down there, one or the other. The Depot Theater Plaza work is scheduled to begin very soon. Thanks to the warm weather, the work has begun at the town park for a tentative opening in early April. Amber spoke to the commission about a need for volunteer coaches for sporting programs. Each season it becomes more difficult to cover the planned sports. So she reaches out to parents of the children that are involved, and it comes down to the last minute that they're getting coaches, and some of the teams really struggle because they don't have a coach that's willing to put the time in. It is demanding, and it is aggravation, but it is also fulfilling and rewarding. But so they're in dire need of coaches. They are going to reach out to both newspapers this week to try to get some advertisement. But if anybody's interested, please help out and contact Amber at the Rec Department. And the next meeting of the Rec is scheduled for April 3rd.
Thanks, John. Philipstown Communities That Care.
Philipstown Communities That Care met yesterday, and we had a update review of the Family University program that was held at Haldane last month. I spoke about that last month. We also spoke to Arlene Robin, who is with Cove Care, which was formerly Putnam Community and Family Services. And she's been working much more closely with this side of the county, and I think it's promising news, and there will be more to be offered through Cove Care. It's a great resource for our community, but it's a challenge to get over to Carmel, and that's oftentimes what the problem is with people in need when they have a kid that's in trouble, that needs services, and sometimes they're mandated, and it's a burden on the parents to have to drive them to Carmel oftentimes. So look for news there. I'm really hopeful that something good will come of it, and also with our new coordinator, I think she'll work closely with Putnam Community and Family Services and other prevention treatment organizations throughout the region. We also got an update on resources that will be available throughout the state. Kristen McConnell from the National Council on Alcohol and Drug Dependency gave a report from her trip to Washington, where she met with state and federal officials. A lot of times these grant opportunities that are available don't come our way because, how we don't present such a need as most areas do throughout the region. But we can look for things close by, which are to come, maybe a 24/7 open access center. Right now, that 24/7 open access center was granted to Lexington Center, which is, I believe, in Mount Kisco, and so we'll be able to use that resource. Not terribly convenient, but it's 24/7, and possibly with our drug resource coordinator, we'll be able to work closely with them. There's also news that possible 24-hour detox center will be opening in Dutchess. News from the federal government: $3 billion is to be appropriated in 2018 and 2019 to combat the crisis, and it's mostly coming in the form of regional grants. What we expressed the need that we didn't see was more grant opportunities for prevention. A lot of it's going for treatment, and in the past I've seen most of it go for law enforcement and treatment, and anything you read, that prevention is the key. So we meet next month on the 21st at 3:30 at the North Highlands Firehouse.
Thank you, Nancy.
Sure.
Planning board.
Planning board, okay. I attended the planning board meeting of February 15th at the old VFW Hall. First thing on the agenda was return of escrow to Christian Saracen at 1000 Albany Post Road. Second, we had two public hearings. This first public hearing was a Hudson Highland Reserve. I reported on this last month as well. We had a public hearing last month, and this rolled over into February. There was another 12 or 13 citizens that got up and spoke about this project. Most of their concerns are basically water management, how the waste from the horses in the equestrian center is going to be managed, how the water aquifer is going to be affected, roads, inside entrance, exiting off of Route 9, how's all that going to be controlled. These are basically the concerns that we have, most of the citizens have concern. And also as well, a lot of citizens don't consider this to be a true subdivision. Dave thinks it should just be, a conservation subdivision. They think this should be just a regular subdivision, which would probably yield less houses. But anyway, that's not for us to determine that. As I reported last month as well, the Hudson Highland Trust also indicated this is not a true conservation and easement, and they're not going to accept they're not going to hold an easement. The public hearing will remain open. Again, we're having a workshop set for next planning board meeting, which is March 15th at 7 o'clock. There will be a workshop for that as well. Next on the agenda was SEJE Realty, 1510 Route 9 in Garrison. It's just up a little bit from the Appalachian Market. I reported on this last month as well. They're looking to do a change. This is light industrial. They're fabricating steel there. There's really no major concerns with anything, but the planning board did have a couple concerns with how they paint and where the painting is going to take place, how it will be ventilated, what kind of paints will be used. But besides that, there was no public comment at all for that particular piece of property. They would want to send a letter of compliance to be obtained from the building inspector, so the building inspectors are well aware of what's going to be going on down there. There is concern about is it being used for more than one business, and they're indicating that it's not at this particular, there won't be at the time when they take over this. So they're preparing a resolution for next month's meeting. Old business, Lake Surprise Camp, we reported on this last month as well. They're doing some renovations up there, nothing building-wise, but just basically the things that change the way the inside and entrance and exiting the property, and also some drainage to maintain the pond for stormwater management. The wetlands permit has been granted to them, and a public hearing is scheduled for March 15th. Another on the agenda was James Copeland, 3052 Route 9, on Route 9. That's the old antiques center up there in Route 9. They want to just change the use for that from from retail to office space. This is considered a minor project, and they also will have, there'll be a site visit scheduled for March 11th at 9:30, which is next Sunday. Last on the agenda was Robert Miller Alltech Service Center, 1380 Route 9 in Garrison. That's just down from the other side of Appalachian Market. They're buying that building and they want to return it back into a service center, not selling gasoline or anything like that, just to service cars. The planning board was really okay with everything. A couple of minor concerns about the grading and the resurfacing of the parking lot to ensure that no fluids go out into the road or into the water system there. They are also scheduled for a public hearing on March 15th. Meeting was adjourned at 10:15. Again, next meeting is March 15th, 7:30.
Thanks, Bob. Zoning.
I attended part of the zoning board meeting on February 12th, and Bob's here, so he could maybe comment as well. There were two public hearings, Essex Green, Douglas Lane, appeal number 910. The public hearing was closed, and the board will review it at their next meeting. David and Ann Provan, 200 J. Cox Road, appeal number 912. The public hearing was held and closed, and the appeal was approved unanimously. Old business, WHUD replacement tower for 22 Sky Lane, number 911. Appeal was reviewed and scheduled for a public hearing on March 12th. And there was one other appeal, Neve Group and Todd Berlander, 22 Hudson River Lane, Garrison. That application was tabled so the Conservation Board could review it first. And as I said, the next meeting is scheduled for March 12th. Anything I left out, Bob? Good, thank you.
Nice work, John. Thank you. Highway.
I have that also. What did I do with it, Tina?
I gave it to
You
you.
gave it to me? Hold on 1 second. Oh, here it is. Sorry about that. Philipstown Town Board members, Carl Present, the Highway Superintendent. Work performed by the Philipstown Highway Department for the month of February. Winter is still with us and continues to keep the highway crew busy, working diligently during each storm to keep all roads safe and clear. Wild, weird weather fluctuations have caused snow, ice conditions, and then mini spring thaws resulting in potholes. We ask that residents of Philipstown for their patience as we work to improve road conditions, as it will not happen overnight. A resolution was passed for the purchase of a budgeted new truck for the fleet. It is in the works and its arrival is highly anticipated. A second resolution passed allowing us to purchase a used flare mower. We have been searching for this mower for what feels like forever and finally found exactly what we were looking for at the right price from the Kent Highway Department. It's in excellent condition and this very much needed piece of equipment will get plenty of use in the upcoming months. The Highway Department received approximately 35 phone calls regarding road complaints and other road issues in the month of February. The Highway Department has spent roughly $6,600 in vehicle maintenance for the month of February. Above submitted by Carl Frizend, the Highway Superintendent.
I don't think the roads are going to get any better tonight.
No, I doubt it.
Putnam County Legislator. Hey,
I assume that you all received the letter from the county executive asking for your input on naming the senior center. I know I heard from Bob. Any other ideas?
It appeared that they were. Was it going to be finalized? This came the night before where they were talking about it at the Rules Committee meeting. So,
Yeah, they just discussed it.
oh, they were just discussing it.
Just
Okay.
discussing it.
When is it?
I thought you needed it by that night.
No.
Okay.
Paul Galero approached me and said he wants to put a sign outside on 9D listing everything that's in the Leahy Pavilion. So what did I want to put on the sign? So it's not up to me to name it, so I was asking input from, or the county executive put the letter out asking.
Seniors are giving input too, or?
They don't really care as long as it's open.
just don't call me late for dinner.
You know, what I thought is the Julia L. Butterfield Senior / Community Center, but the village has a little problem with the community part of it. So just senior center. I mean, I was not looking to make this a community center that would have hordes of people. What my idea is, and from the very beginning, is to bring services over on a rotating basis after the seniors have finished with it. The seniors historically are there from 10 to 2:30 about, isn't that right? Yeah, 2:30. And then we have an empty building and an empty parking lot. I want to bring DMV over once a week or once a month on a rotating basis, Women's Resource Center, the Health Department with different issues, not only for seniors, but for our residents.
Yeah, we get a flu vaccine clinic when that time comes around.
Exactly.
Julie
Yeah.
Butterfield Center sounds.
Yeah, that does
Doesn't
sound
it?
giving
It's-
a
it
nod
was-
to.
That's why I didn't come.
It
vote
honors
for
the
that.
woman
I vote
who,
for that.
Yeah,
okay.
that's why I didn't come back.
And,
If they put a bar in there, the seniors would stay later.
oh, they would. Oh, they would.
I think
Probably
I
couldn't get 'em out.
misunderstood because I thought the seniors expected that was going to be exclusively for them, and I thought
No,
that
they
was-
understand.
Okay.
Yeah,
And I thought, for some reason, I thought the other resources were going to be elsewhere on the Butterfield site, not at the senior center.
we have, a small group of offices in the entrance to the left. Those are perfect, for small meetings or for some of these services. Women's Resource especially, anyone that's, having trouble at home, domestic violence or whatever, doesn't want to drive, as you stated, Nancy, all the way, although I do it all the time, they don't want to drive all the way when they're in that, state of mind. So I think that's a positive thing. So I want to calm the village down a little bit.
Would the space be available for meetings as well? If.
Well, it depends on what kind of meeting.
Right.
So, that's something in the future to discuss. But that's what I meant by community center.
Because we might be needing some office, meeting space soon.
Yeah,
Right, Justin?
why not? And also, I had a brief meeting with Amber to discuss programming. The bids went out on the Butterfield a couple of days ago, another bid. Hopefully, it'll come back more realistically and not off the roof. The county has stepped in and done some of the project work since we got that really high bid at $1.8 million. They did the demolition, they did the rough plumbing, they did some of the work on the roof for the air conditioning. So hopefully that'll bring the cost down, because anyone coming to see the building to work on it is going to see a clean space. If any of you ever want to go and see it, what it looks like right now, it's not very pretty, but just to get an idea, I'd be happy to get the key.
You ever seen a construction site?
Once you do get the bids back, say they were within the budget, what's like expected timeframe to have it completed? Any idea what that?
Well,
may be?
from what I've been told, because it's interior work and because it's, a union job and they have the carpenters and the plumbers and everybody comes in, that it wouldn't take but a few months. But that always, I don't believe anything anymore. Yeah. Hopefully that would be the case. That would be perfect. That's why I wanted to talk about programming with Amber. This is only a preliminary. Of course, we'll come to the board and talk, to the rec board and this board and talk about it. But the county has services and programs that they want to offer. And yet, the town has done a wonderful job picking up and taking care of these seniors. And Amber and Cecily are amazing. So I want to make sure that they're not feeling put out with what we're bringing in and we don't duplicate any services. So we'll meet and we'll start the discussion. And then next month, I'll come back and I'll let you know. Or if you want to send, when we have these meetings, a rep from the recreation besides Amber, I don't know, whatever you think, from the
It'd
board.
be best if we had somebody there at the meetings, or at least we find out about them and try to make someone available to go.
Yeah, that'd be great. So,
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't respond to this. But I'm thinking, taking inventory of what we have, what programs we have, and not wanting to duplicate. And Amber certainly is at the front line with that. I think what came to mind initially was what we discussed with the county executive and the director of senior resources 3 years ago, and number one is nutrition for the seniors. And the concern that I hear from a lot of the seniors is on-site cooking of the meals. So, I think it goes back to that. That's what we met in your office about close to 3-4 years ago.
Up here.
We met up here.
3
And
years
that's
ago.
what comes to mind as far as what,
sure, we want to give
nutrition.
everything we can for these seniors. And, we talked about this a long time ago. They do have a new chef. And I think Linda she, goes to the center so she can talk to the food. It's been much improved. And they do a lot of the cooking at that center at Cedar Street. but they're limited because of the space. This will have a larger kitchen. It's like a galley kitchen, so it's very efficient and a lot of. So I'm really looking forward to the day. The post office, I hear, will open in March. I mean, I heard February, now it's pushed to March. And so that's a great thing. I'm sure everybody will be relieved instead of going into the trailer. And they're going to have a 24-hour lobby so you can go and drop off mail or pick up mail 24 hours. They have that in Garrison, and a lot of people really are happy with that service. So
Will it have like a vending machine, you can buy stamps or anything like that?
I don't know about that. I took a peek in. It's really quite nice.
Because, if you go there 24 hours and want a stamp.
Yeah, they don't have that in Garrison. I don't have that in Garrison. Speaking to the war on addiction, the county executive, it will be approved hopefully Tuesday at our full meeting, but I'm heading up a committee it's like a task force about the drug addiction problem we have. And what it is, it's bringing in all the county agencies once a month to sit at the table, including the sheriff. You'll get your invitation. And, the DA, all our county agencies to begin with, the senators, the assembly people, to sit down and talk about trends, what they're doing, what we can do. I mean, as you know, education is the key. And we're doing really well, but it's never enough. So this task force, I'm hoping, will enlighten us even more, and I'd be happy to have Danielle.
I just, I thought about that yesterday. We talked about this at the coalition meeting, and, I appreciate the efforts. And as you know, I've been around it for a long time, and a task force is great. It's yet another meeting. It would be wonderful if the task force could just happen with the coalition meeting. We've been inviting heads of committees, heads of departments on every level. We're fortunate with this coalition that we have school administrators that attend, clergymen have attended in the past, parents. It's everybody in the community. And if this, I understand you have to address it throughout Putnam, but if your intention is to address it with the people you represent, I understand that the DA wrote a full-page ad regarding the Philipstown Against Opioids Coalition, but has never attended our existing coalition that's been doing exactly what you say: trends, data, prevention. We are doing all of that, and it would be really wonderful to have a senator, to have the DA. We do have sheriffs that show up, deputy sheriffs, and the sheriff has been there. So I see Danielle's role at, I don't know how many hours a week we allocated to attend yet another meeting to address the same
I'm not
things we're
saying that
addressing.
she has to attend. I will be happy to.
Okay, forget Danielle. I'm just saying my point is, and this is really important, that I appreciate your efforts regarding the task force. I would love for those people to come to our table.
Well, that's something we can discuss at the
Okay.
task force meeting, but this meeting is countywide. This is bringing all the agencies from all over the county, not just Philipstown. It's a county, it's a problem that's all over this country. So I think county agencies meeting together, we can bring this back to all of our towns. We're not the only town in Putnam. Everybody can benefit from these agencies meeting together at the county level and then have the trickle down. I attend these CTC meetings. I can reach out to DA Tendy and have him come. I can do that. I'd be happy to do that.
All right, well, thank you.
You're very welcome. And I think that's about it.
Well, we look forward to partnering with you on the programs for seniors, that's for
Yes.
sure.
I'll let you
And like
know
you said,
next
just so
month
we
where we
don't
are.
duplicate services, we just expand them, that'd be great.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Sure.
Conservation now. Yeah, do it backwards.
Cemetery Committee,
It's now conservation. Yeah, I did-
Cemetery Conservation.
No, I did
did
the other one
cemetery.
before.
Oh, you did
I'm
cemetery.
used
Oh.
to meetings anyway. Okay, anyway. All right, so they met on February 13th, 22 Hudson River Lane. This is a bunch of houses that are right along the Hudson River. And they're going to be putting in a 12 by 16-foot pool. It's going to be 6 feet deep, so I think you kind of, if you've ever been down there, you probably think, wow, this is so close to the river. And that's our concern, is that, so a discussion was involved regarding that. And the good side of things is all of the chemicals that will be used to treat and take care of the pool and so forth will all be taken off-site. There will be nothing left. So there's no concern regarding that. The DC is not involved in this particular issue either. So there's also be a deck attached to this pool.
Just use the river water.
Excuse me? Yeah, I know. I would be a little concerned myself, but it doesn't violate the rules. And again, I have to say they did come in prepared, and that's really the way you should come in and present. So there was a discussion. They really met the concerns that we had. 65 Steuben Road, that's a repeat and actually goes back a few years. This is a house that kind of sits on a small lot. It sits above Sprout Brook, down near the Cortland Lake itself, right near the Continental Village Clubhouse and so forth. The reason it's obviously an issue for the Conservation Board is there's a 100-foot buffer from any waterway, wetlands, to any development that occurs. In order to install the Board of Health approved septic system, they needed 15 feet. That's from the 85-foot to the 100-foot section would be filled area. In addition to allowing them to do that, they're going to be planting native plantings for the 80 feet in front of that particular 15 feet, which borders the stream to that area. And if you know that area as well, we're talking about lands that are up here, the stream is down here. So again, it's not flat lands. So without a doubt, we'll definitely be gaining on that, because that's really a preferable thing for people to do in those areas, because it really retains the soil and really provides a real good barrier for that distance. Also, we had Surprise Lake Camp come in. Bob talked about that some. For the Conservation Board, obviously, again, this group was very well prepared, came in, obviously, they're doing vehicle pedestrian safety improvements. Some of the concerns, of course, that the Wetlands the Conservation Board wanted was the wetlands buffer boundaries delineated, so that when you actually do work in an area, you want to put in those small flags, because people working, they really don't know exactly where 100 feet is. So that works out very well as well. They did submit also their stormwater pollution protection plan, and that will be reviewed. Some discussions, I'm really just putting in the highlights here, because this was like a 3-hour meeting that night, and there was a lot of detailed discussions on these, but they discussed the infiltration system, the water transfer, when the water comes up, how is it being diverted and so forth. The Conservation Board had some concerns about the high water discharge capabilities. Those were discussed. They do not plan to use any salt on their roads, which was a nice plus. Of course, the camp's closed in the winter. Yes, but
We'll double up for them.
well, yeah. So obviously that does reduce concerns and so forth, and I think we understand that. All of their roof runoff and so forth is actually being controlled coming down and dissipated properly. And obviously the Conservation Board is also requesting that they have a lake management plan, which they are supporting, and enhanced vegetation plantings and so forth were also discussed. They plan to pretty much do the work split between the spring and the fall. We had a person come in that really wasn't on the agenda, but this is what's good about having conservation boards and people that go around. One of our Conservation Board members noticed a potential violation and went to the homeowner and said, you really need to go to the Conservation Board because you need a wetlands permit for that. The person was very cooperative. They just didn't realize there's a particular case where you have a house was already within the 100-foot buffer, which is grandfathered. What you have to do with that, obviously you can't remove the house. So you have to work with people with how much distance are you talking about from the house to the stream, and then come up with a plan working with them for strengthening the stream borders and being able to provide their abilities to be able to utilize the property to some reasonable extent, but also providing an adequate buffer as well. So saving you a lot of the detail, that was a lot of discussion back and forth, but again, the homeowner came in with the right attitude, realized that he made an error, and was willing to work with the group, and that worked very well. Hudson Highlands Reserve came in. Again, this was kind of a long discussion. Obviously involving the full environmental review. Basically, to put it in a nutshell, the Conservation Board still wants more details. The applicant was not either prepared or had said at this point that they did not have additional information, although a few nights later when I listened to the Planning Board, there was some additional information which hopefully may be presented to the Conservation Board next month, because I think it's important that they raised it, and that's regarding Ulmer Pond, and also some of the concerns were raised about the horses, the equestrian center, and all of the manure and so forth, and on and off, and dealing with 40 horses, and its impact on the surrounding area and so forth. This area, of course, is, and this was trying to be stressed to the applicant when the applicant's attorney is saying we are following code, is the Conservation Board says, you know, we have to take a look at the entire picture here, and our task is to take a look at what's the best, working with you, what is the best possible solution or plan, if one can be, because this is a very sensitive piece of property. There are a number of environmental issues here that are involved. You have the aquifer, our biggest aquifer in the town. We have Clove Creek bordering it, we have Ulmer Pond, and we have Fawnstock. So we have a lot of very environmentally sensitive issues here. It's just unfortunately for them that they have to deal with all this, but it makes it for more of a complexing issue. Just one other detail, they also, there was discussions about the wildlife corridors. This goes between Ulmer Pond and Clove Creek, and to be able to provide a wide enough and capable ability for wildlife to be able to go between one and the other, that it wouldn't be affected and so forth. I'm pretty much looking, I think, at some point, hopefully can suggest that an environmental checklist, meaning issues that are still outstanding, and then start to try to get some detail in regards to them. They've committed to a 140-foot buffer zone between houses and Ulmer Pond. The standard is 100 feet. They did state that the homeowners association would commit to the other 40 feet. I think there needs to be some more discussion in that particular area. And basically, okay, so pretty much from that, I just want to jump into stormwater because it's environmental. The Stormwater Management Group met on February 14th. We have a deadline. Our particular stormwater management program runs from March 9th to March 9th. That's the year. So naturally, we're coming up on our deadline, and we went through all of our standards, requirements. This involves highway. Carl Fresenda attends, the wetlands inspector, Max, and myself attend these, and pretty much take a look at what we have. Do we have enough evidence on our files to prove what we did, what we committed to doing, so that if we did receive an inspection from the state, that we would be satisfactory in all of our areas. It is quite an involved task. It does get involved to a number of areas. One of the things I can tell you, a couple of things that we are looking for, or at least I'm going to suggest to the group and try to push more for, is I'd like to get involved with water testing, even though there are some measures regarding water quality happening already, but also to an increase in a public education. We need to really get this program out more to the public itself. So those would be two particular areas that we'd be looking to continue with. That's it. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike.
Hey, real quick, I know we don't report on recycling anymore, but I attended the village meeting the other night, and they say they're getting charged now for recyclables, that $43 a ton. I don't know who takes our recyclables now? Not the metals, but the actual plastics and the newspapers and all that.
We take it over to Newburgh, don't we? We
Yeah.
trailer it over, the highway.
I don't know what they're,
If they're gonna get charged, sooner or later, we're gonna end up paying for something too, so just curious. I'll look into it if you tell me who it is. Carl, okay, I'll get in touch with Carl.
They take the Hudson Baylor, right?
We had just gotten a bill from some company and we weren't sure where it was.
Hudson Baylor?
No, I don't think it was that. And Susan came in and she researched it and she says we're now getting charged.
For dropping. We used to
Yeah.
get paid.
Yeah, right, we used to get paid. And now, like I said, they brought it up at the village board meeting I attended, and they said they're paying now. So I just wanted to bring it up to us to see.
I never got a notice. We never saw any notice about
No,
that.
no.
I think they
check
can
with-
just start charging you like that. I mean, we'll maybe give them a call. You want to give them a call, Mike, or Bob? You want to?
I'll
follow up on
I'll
that?
follow up with Carl and tell me who it is, and I'll look into it. Sure.
They can't just start charging you without agreement to that. And if that's the way it is, that's the way it is, but they have to give us some notice. All right, onto the agenda. Finally.
Okay, the first item on the agenda is a resolution appointing Danielle Pack McCarthy as the Preservation, Treatment, and Recovery Coordinator.
Nancy?
So, as you know, we were fortunate to get some money in our budget for this prevention, treatment, and recovery coordinator. It was something that the community had asked for. They came to me personally. It came out of the Philipstown Community Congress, and it was something that we decided that we could do, thankfully. We got a lot of wonderful cover letters, resumes, people of interest, and it was a tough decision because there's so many qualified people out there now, especially in regard to this issue. And we hopefully will decide to go with Danielle Pack McCarthy. She's a local resident. She has served on the Philipstown Communities That Care Coalition as co-chair, so she's doing a lot of the work of it now. She's well known in the county with the county prevention organizations and treatment organizations, and came, highly recommended by some of those folks personally. So I am more than happy to appoint her.
Great. Well,
If you've known Danielle, there's nobody with more energy
Yeah.
than she has. She will do this job 150% without a doubt. She is a great choice, I think.
And highly qualified.
And
Right.
so-
yeah,
I agree with you.
Background in social work, and I just think it's a great
she's
match.
a great person, yeah. I mean, Nelsonville lost a huge asset when she got off the board up there, but it's our gain, so thank
Yeah.
you. So with that, I would entertain a motion appointing Danielle McCarthy as the Prevention, Treatment, and Recovery Coordinator for the town of Philipstown.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, the next item is a resolution calling for the release of the risk assessment related to the Algonquin pipeline crossing at Indian Point. You discussed this last month.
We did discuss last month, we had a presentation from Paul Claire. I mean, the board's had the ability to look at it. Does anybody on the board have any comment?
We're just looking for the report to be released that
Yes.
taxpayers paid for.
Yeah,
It's not a big deal.
Cool.
Right.
Cole is crazy, but when taxpayers pay for a report, they ought to be able to get it.
That's for sure.
But I support the idea, so. Paul, you have any comments? All right.
It's
Well-
interesting they call for the report on the heels of operation, but, usually you would want a little bit of time in case you found an issue, but, so it'd be kind of interesting to see what's in it.
And you gotta wonder why they're so reluctant to release it.
Yeah.
Gotta be something in there. With that, I'd entertain a resolution calling for the release of the risk assessment related to the Algonquin pipeline crossing Indian Point.
So moved.
Okay,
Second,
second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Thank you, Paul, for your work on that.
Okay. The next item is a discussion with regard to the revision to the town code, section 175-46, which addresses communication towers.
This is something that has come to the fore with our struggle with Homeland Towers, just the fact that we can see more of this on the horizon, especially with the advent of 5G and the fact that it's going to call for more towers. So the last thing we want to see sort of polluting our ridge lines and skylines are more of these towers. We do need to address it in some way, but this proposal as it is right now doesn't pass muster. It's just basically an open-ended $300 an hour.
The thing with the 5G technology is, as per Mr. Mankey's, it's not big towers, it's multiple small towers that would be like every 1,000 feet.
Nice.
Great.
So
Unfortunately.
they add up to big towers.
They're very small, but they make noise, they generate heat. And like he said, if it's in your front yard, you're not going to be happy with it. So he suggested at the zoning board meeting that we get out ahead of this rather than, be reactive to it. So
Yeah.
I'm going to reach out to him and see if we could work on a more defined description. He needs some more input from a land use attorney, though, before he can give us a better idea. I also
Yeah.
would approach him about reducing his rate a little lower.
We'd like to see a resume, too. Because,
Yeah, maybe some past projects he's worked on.
yeah, what
Something
sort of
like that.
successes he's had with other communities.
But, it's definitely something we gotta look at. We just can't just, turn a blind eye into this, because this is something we gotta get, like you said, in the forefront of this.
No, we
So-
can't, but we also have to keep an
No, I
eye,
understand.
keep
So,
an eye on the
like I said-
budget, because at
No.
$300 an hour, that can add up quickly, and this guy's not an attorney, and we don't pay any of our attorneys $300 an hour, so.
I can call the New York State Association of Towns, see if they have some resources. I mean, it can't be that we're the only one across New York State that is looking at this problem, and maybe there's another resource.
We are special, but we're not that special. We do have commonalities with other towns. Yeah, that would be great.
Pretty special.
I'll
Bob,
reach out to
something.
Hank and Bill.
Yes, Bob?
On this. One would be, our current code says 150 feet setback, front yard. That should be changed to like maybe 500 feet. Okay, that would be my suggestion on that one. The second one, you have three zones actually, where you can, the height is 195 feet. And the rest of the zoning districts in the town, it's 110 feet. My suggestion was make the whole town 110 feet. The instance with this one we ran into with Homeland Towers, first they started 180 foot, and then they said, okay, maybe we could do 140 foot when they were under pressure, so I don't think there's any reason they couldn't do 110 foot. So if it made the whole town 110 foot, it would be a lot easier. And my third suggestion is, final suggestion, was that the code requires that they produce us evidence of gap in service. And what they do is they pile us up with this $300 an hour engineers, and from both sides. You have two engineers, dueling engineers, and they give us all these graphs and charts, and it doesn't make average sense to the person on the board. What we asked them for was give us names and addresses of people in the area where you said there's a gap in service who've made complaints to Horizon. That should be simple enough. They should have that. Well, they refused that. Okay, but yet 20 people in the area gave us signatures and legal affidavits that there was no gap in service. So it's possible, I don't know what the legalese would be for it, but my suggestion was, let's say they said there's 500 homes that had a gap in service. Well, let them produce 30% of legal affidavits from people who lived there that there is a problem. They couldn't produce one.
And it was also on the Verizon website that whole area was
And Verizon
covered.
website said there was 100% service. So they could play around with these graphs and stuff like that, but letters from people, they're there. There were signed affidavits. So my suggestion was try to fit it in somewhere where, make them put at least 30% of people, get letters from 30% of people in that area that there is a true gap in service. That's it.
Thanks, Bob.
One of the other things, too, is this 1996 federal law. I think that needs to be better explained to us on an average basis as to how much does the federal government have to regulate this business. Is it every road in town? According to the applicant, they said that the signal is blocked when you have a set of trees or a hill or a mountain area. Well, this entire town is that. So what are we going to end up with, 100 of these? So I think we really need to have that explained to us as to how much does the federal government have to regulate us if this town decides that we don't want a particular tower or more service in an area. I think that's a reasonable question to have resolved.
Well, it's going to be a continued problem, that's for sure. So
Yeah,
something.
without a doubt.
It's similar to
under
like
that
the wind
criteria,
turbines. Remember when we had the wind
we end
turbine
up with a lot
issue? We
more.
had to, stop and take a look at it, because these things have to be tweaked. Even though you did it in, 2011, I think we did the code was revised, it always has to be tweaked and all. And finally, I just want to say thank you to the Conservation Board. They put countless hours the last 7 months into this project, and, I just want to tell them thank you very much.
Yeah, it was good. I like seeing the boards work together.
Yes, it was
That's a
good.
plus, yeah.
And thank you,
Bob,
Bob.
thank you.
Thank you.
Paul
Yes,
has-
that was difficult for you guys. Yeah, yeah.
I just wanted to address the 5G situation. I'm a little concerned about that because, as it was said, it would be little towers at very frequent intervals in our town. And I have been told that other town, at least one other town in New York, they woke up one day to find these things installed without any input from the town. So I think that it is probably a good idea to address that in our code preemptively. Thank you.
Then the cell tower company wakes up next morning and towers are gone. Well, we are, Homeland Tower did lodge a lawsuit against the town also, so we look forward to defending that.
You want to take another comment?
Yeah, sure, Roger.
Started a lawsuit. How is this being responded to, the lawsuit? Is it just Adam doing it, or is it Campanelli involved, or what actually?
Right now, we're formulating a plan of defense.
Okay, because I think you're on a time limit on that one, or
We
at
are.
least you.
There's always a limit when it comes to lawsuits.
No, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And did I also understand that there's going to be a public hearing because they're appealing to you about the Conservation Board's ruling?
Yes, next week.
Yeah.
And has that been publicized? Or?
Yes.
It has. Okay, thanks.
Thanks,
We'll be there.
Roger.
Can't wait.
Also, as a comment, I have to make a comment. This board is fabulous, all right?
We'll take
You
that
you
off.
guys, no, you guys are terrific.
Good
You-
thing we're recording this. I'm going to play that
You-
over and over.
No, I don't think people in this town really understand, and maybe it should get on the record, how much work and how much effort you've done, the Conservation Board, the Zoning Board, on behalf of all of us here, that it's just amazing to me. I mean, the hours and hours that have gone into this whole project, which obviously affects our lives a lot, but it's amazing, and I think you should be congratulated.
Thank you.
Okay.
We appreciate the citizen participation, too. We know you guys have contributed a lot, so thank you.
Right, and it's not the end of it either. We're looking to partner with you again during this process.
Callie?
Hi. I had sent you, Richard, an email that you didn't respond to. I don't know whether you got it or not, but I just wanted to ask whether it is possible that we go directly to Crown, the company that has the lease on Annie Meyer's land on Gray Rock Road. What if everybody was kind of more in favor of keeping that tower instead of adding other towers? What if we went direct to Crown and said, okay, we'd like you to stay here, and you need to rebuild the tower, fine, we'll give you permission to rebuild the tower.
Well, I could be wrong, but even if that new tower went up, that other tower was not coming down. It was just moving, Verizon was just gonna move their services from that tower to the new tower, and all the other services that are currently on that tower were gonna stay there. That's what was described to me.
Late into the meeting process, we found that out, yes.
I'm not privy to all the discussions that have gone on about that. My understanding was that they were going to take down the tower on Gray Rock
That's not
Road.
correct. Just
No.
the Verizon antenna.
It's two different
off of
companies.
that tower.
so.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I don't know
That own it.
whether anybody is in touch with Crown or whether we want to be in touch with Crown, but the performance, the performance by Homeland Towers was so disappointing in terms of their credibility and their responsibility that maybe Crown is better.
Well, I'm going to take a wild guess and say Homeland Tower probably won't be all that happy at Crown Tower getting more business than them, but I don't think it's going to make Homeland go away. They're like stalkers around here, but we can take a look.
Crown is a really big outfit. They just put in a $7.2 billion bid to buy somebody out.
Huh.
So this is a serious company, and I have a feeling that that's not a bad idea to talk to them.
Okay.
as Callie said, because if we would agree for them to go 190, it obviously turns around and said, there is no reason for the other one to be there. And that is, I think, the way the zoning board was going, or tried to have them think about, and which they didn't want to do, because it doesn't put the money in their pocket. And that's really the issue.
Okay. All right.
Okay, the next item is the town board and Justin Kokora of Highland Architect to discuss the proposed renovations to the town hall. Justin?
We're going to have some technology someday here for you to do this.
Attach this to do this presentation, is that all right? Yeah, okay. As long as I don't turn it off.
If you touch that multitasking issue, I'll hit you.
Okay. I can go over here. Okay. Well, I'm here tonight to present you the completed construction documents for this building. We've been working for a few months now on primarily the front end of the building here. This is kind of fun because we're right here, so we can talk about everything. We've used photographs of the building, documented the existing conditions of the building, done a complete code analysis, and determined that we needed accessible stair, accessible elevator, accessible toilet rooms, all of which are in these plans, which I have right here. So this roll of plans I can lay out here for anybody to look at, I guess, when I'm done. And also a product manual, which goes along with the drawings, which covers everything. The drawings and the product manual cover everything on this building, from the cupola up on the roof, repairs to it, flashing, the upper roof, new ceiling tiles, new lighting here, new windows, getting rid of this fire escape over here, repairing and replacing siding, trim on the front of the building primarily, and the sides, new roof shingles to match. We had done work also on the annex behind us here. So we're trying to look at that palette that, we're starting with this white and green and black roof and carrying that over to the annex and carrying it here too. In the set of documents, we've also addressed most of which are interior renovations to the clerk's office. There's a kitchenette now in what used to be the building department's room down there. All this is getting removed and reconfigured in the front to also open up the center of the building through here. So the front window in the building you can access. So there's a first floor lobby and a second floor lobby as you come up the stair. You can see here, and you can feel free to come up and look at the plans. This is the second floor. These are some photographs. We use photographs a lot on existing buildings so we can document and show the contractors who will be bidding on this what's being removed, replaced, repaired. If you look at the building in the daylight, the front of the building, we've got some white aluminum gutters, a green leader coming down, a brown leader coming down. It's quite a mix. So in our documents, we have solutions to those things. We have built-in gutters on this building, so we need to talk about some of the details with that, but there's copper flashing up there as well. So essentially, we have 100% construction set ready for bidding with the product manual, which we'll make additional copies of. We're going to provide all the drawings, PDFs, email them to you. Everything's ready to be signed and sealed, delivered to the building department for permits. We also have some material samples, the flooring samples we're using in the lobby, the stairs. The stair is a steel structure with a Textura surfacing, which is like a precast stair treads. The elevator is a hydraulic elevator that requires a minimal pit, very small. It's hydraulic. It's quiet. We've looked at the walls around that elevator shaft and insulated the block cores, Also put in insulation around that, so when the elevator is in operation, you're not hearing it, especially in the clerk's office, you're not hearing it. Changing flooring, we have some limits up here with the flooring, but downstairs, we have a limit line where we carried some new VCT tile in through the hallway and the conference room and the clerk's office. So there's a lot of detail in the drawings. If anyone wants to take a look, I'll be glad to walk through every detail in the set with you. We're very proud of it.
Right now you won't.
Not tonight, okay. All right, so that's basically it. So if anybody has any questions, I can go through the plans a little bit more if you want, and give you any detail and specifics that you want to know.
My question, Justin, is how are we gonna, did we come up, I know we talked about how we're gonna try to maintain the operation of the facility, and
Yeah.
did we work out a plan for that, or are we pulling everybody out of here? And
Well, really, right now, we have the drawings, the documentation, the specifications. We were going to put together a bid form like we did for the annex. We'll also, we have to talk about how we can do walkthroughs with the contractors. And during that process, I think it's very good. When we're meeting with the contractors, we get a lot of good input from the contractors with their experience and how to keep things moving in the building while you're doing work. So we're looking to them for input on this. And then ultimately, I think you'll end up with a better project rather than us putting limit lines on certain things in the drawings. I think it would be good to come from the contractors who are bidding.
Well, I mean, it's exciting to think about, and doing something with this building is not just frivolous, it's a necessity. We can't let it go anymore. We have to do something or we won't have a building. So our thanks to Justin Caker and Highlands Architecture for, it's been a pleasure working, and I'm sure we'll keep going along this road.
Great.
Anybody who's seen the new building department knows that it's just been a complete transformation over there. The building is just really a super attractive building now and really functional, and we're very pleased with that. So we look forward to getting underway here and maintaining this building, which has not been maintained in many, many years.
And more than maintaining, it's getting an elevator, so we can get up and down.
Yes, getting an elevator so we can, yeah.
And the stair is, the new stair is a switchback. It's very comfortable walking. This one is very steep. It creaks, there's a vault down actually underneath the stair, which is staying. So we had to work around that too. So we've been very lucky. We appreciate working with you,
Right.
and it's been fun.
Yeah.
So we talked about that too. It's all in the drawings. Yeah, I can show you that too. We have
Yeah, it's all about you, Celia. All about you. Whole project. That's what I said.
We have
Come on, it makes you look good.
Not only do we have
That's a big job.
an electrical and lighting plan, but we also have a power plan too, and the cable is located on that plan.
Right, and I think we're going to be able to keep some things, we did talk about logistics and the cable and all the
Yes.
equipment we have back there. So.
Yes, fire alarms and things like that too.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, thank you.
All right. Anything else from the board? Well, we appreciate all your efforts, Justin. Thank you.
Thanks.
We can't wait.
We'll be, delving into that and getting underway and getting the bids out at least and seeing where we wind up. And I think that is a good idea to get contractors' input on how to stage things and how we'll.
Computer hookup.
Yeah, I mean, if there's a month or so that we have to change our meeting to someplace else, I'm sure we're going to come
Oh,
and
yeah.
look at as well. I mean, you've got to look at the overall picture and how it's
Yeah.
going to affect the
We've held
construction
off on the
this.
bid form for now. We need to talk about a few things that, just to clear up the bid form.
Right.
We're using the one that we used on the annex, which was very helpful, because then when the contractors are actually providing their bids, it's in a breakdown form.
Right.
By phase, it's not just a big lump sum. So we have that started as well. That's like 98%, but all the drawings are done.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, it helped a lot to do sort of an apples-to-apples comparison on the bids. So,
Did our building inspector look at anything yet?
Greg has not looked at it yet, I don't imagine. I mean, I know he's had input, and he's obviously been intimately involved next door, so.
And the appearance of the outside of the building is gonna be unchanged, other than the removal of the,
That's correct, and any
Beautiful.
improvements on the front only, like when the windows get replaced, any deteriorated siding, or like the coins on the corners, there's some of them that need to be replaced as well, so.
All right, we're gonna take a close look at that, get something potentially more durable.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Thank you, Justin.
Thank you.
Do you want to schedule any meetings
Well, we have a meeting next Wednesday, right?
next Wednesday
And
and
Thursday.
Thursday?
Wednesday and Thursday, yeah.
So that's good enough for me right now. We're meeting twice next week, unless anybody else wants to meet 3 times.
good.
I know you do, Tina.
Yeah, I do.
What's that, what's the date on that, 3/10, 3/9?
7th and 8th.
7 and 8,
7,
okay.
7 PM both nights.
Well, 7 o'clock?
On the 8th is 7:15.
7,
That's because
7:15.
we were at the school and everything was very busy.
And the 7th is 7 o'clock?
Yes.
yes. We'll be all right. Don't worry.
We'll make it.
We're gonna be all right. All right.
Next item is the Code Enforcement Monthly Report. Fees collected, $4,665. 12 number of permits issued.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I thought they were 9s. 11 all other permits, pools, sheds, decks, plumbing, HVAC. 16 COs issued, 2 stop work orders, 1 inspection of public assembly, and 4 inspections of commercial properties, occupancies. This is the report for the Village of Cold Spring. Fees collected, $4,635. 7 permits issued, 3 additions, alterations, or repairs to residential buildings, 4 additions or alterations or repairs to commercial buildings, 9 COs issued. Fees collected 6/1/17 to 2/22/2018 came to a total of $24,385.
All right. Our thanks to Greg Wunner, and Bob Emmerich, and the whole building department over there. These guys are busy, working hard, so thank you. I have a couple of things. We did have a conference call with Greg and I and the town attorney. We're going to pursue charges against the perpetrators of the illegal dumping in town. We got to really put an end to that quickly, so we're going to pursue charges against everybody, homeowners, the perpetrators, anybody who's associated with it, and we're going to drag them all into court. So that's one thing we're working on right now. I did attend 2 shared services meetings at the county level, one with the Board of Supervisors and the other with the county legislative working group to come up with a plan. There's a mandate from New York State that we have to show shared services this year. Otherwise, we risk losing state funding. So we have a whole host of things that we can work on. A lot of suggestions were made, and it was a productive meeting. We'll come up with things and meet the mandate. Another thing is, everyone is familiar with Magazzino now, and I know that it was constructed as an art storage facility. Everyone in town knows it's a museum. And people are coming from all over to visit it as a museum. And I think that the town board should entertain changing the zoning on the site so that it can be a museum, because it's silly to just go on like this. And it would be best if they had the designation, and we just, they've been through the whole process, and I know you have to make an appointment to go there, but it would just be best if it were what it is, and we recognize the zoning that goes along with that. So we would consult with the planning board over that, and then, look to change the zoning designation for that piece of property. Yes, Ken?
It would have been nice if it had been up front from the beginning. That is my, it would have been nice if they said to us, this is what we're going to do. And, I mean, I appreciate that it's become what it's become, and I think that that's, is a great thing for the town. People love it, it's very popular, all these things. I just would like applicants to be upfront about what they're going to do when they come before the planning board. And we ask them repeatedly. So I just want to make that statement.
I have to say, you were not on the planning board when they had their first application, which was on Avery Road.
Yes, I was on the planning
You
board.
were on the planning board. And remember that public hearing?
I do.
I mean, I would imagine that they were just unbelievably hesitant to do anything
No,
because
I totally understand that. I just,
Yeah.
it's like we have to take what people give us on the planning board as a good faith.
Sure.
And so, there are some great things for this town. I think it's a great thing for the town. But I just, would want to caution applicants to, tell us the truth when they start. That's all.
Looks like a duck, quacks like a duck. Everybody knew it was going to be a duck. I can't possibly imagine a better outcome for that property. Not in my wildest dreams could I have imagined, a museum coming into town and with great artwork and just, the architecture in there is incredible. They hired all local contractors. There's just nothing but benefit there. And former, industrial site, it's just, there can't be a possible better outcome. So we welcome them with open arms, and we're going to go ahead and at least ponder the thought and probably move on the thought of changing their zoning. So yes, Lindan.
On the subject of the museum.
Yes.
The museum, not museum. We are going to be taking somewhere between 30 and 35 seniors up there on March 22nd.
Do you have an appointment?
Oh, yes, we've been arranging it. They're going to come in their little white buses and pick us up. And they've been extremely receptive.
Yes.
And I see them as an enormous community resource. And they don't charge, but they do ask for offerings for the programs they do to bring art to schools, especially in underserved communities. So there's just a lot of ways in which I think we could, in Philipstown, build on that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
so,
They throw a hell of a party, too.
oh yeah. I mean, I think I discussed it with Steve a little bit, and what we want to do is a resolution authorizing him and Ron Gaynor to prepare and investigate and prepare, to draft a local law for a zoning change at 2700 Route 9 in Cold Spring. So authorizing the attorney and our engineer to an investigation and preparation by the town attorney.
So let's get him to write the resolution, send it in, and we can move on it next week, rather than.
Yeah, well,
I think it's a big enough deal where we should start out on the right foot.
I mean,
Yeah.
Just let him write it up and
Yep.
We'll
we approve it next month.
advertise, we'll get it on an agenda.
Right.
and
And then we have to bring it to the
I
planning
don't think
board.
there's any desperate hurry for them right now, but
Right.
next week, we're having 2 meetings, so we'll get ahead and.
Okay.
But if you want to reach out to Steve and get him to
Sure.
draft a resolution and send it over. So we'll look at that next week. Anything else from the board?
Yeah, I have Roberto Mueller asked me, he's the Climate Smart Coordinator, to
Right.
just make a few comments. He was supposed to also
Yeah, he gave a report at the village the other night as
right,
well.
advise everybody of he had a kickoff meeting on February 15th. 17 of the 20 task force members were there. We do have a list of 61 volunteers, so even if people can't make the meetings, which are every month, we do encourage people to join that, because maybe you could help out on a particular task or something. We discussed, obviously, for the first meeting, of course, you want to go around the table, find out people's background experiences, and how do they feel about this program? What would they like to actually see happen from it? The draft, they discussed a draft mission statement, and that's starting to be created now. There is some discussion also about the green team, and that creation, and Roberto and myself are kind of discussing that right now. Also, there is some hopes that eventually they'll join a national and regional climate change campaign, which would be excellent if they could do that. There is a full criteria listing. This is actually a certified item that you go through, and if you meet certain criteria, you get certain points, and probably the biggest plus in that is that you get you're able to qualify for grants. All right. It's also a plus to be able to see your achievements as you hopefully can start to move towards bronze, silver, and gold status. So far, only bronze has been given out to a couple of communities in the state. So this is still a new program. We went into a lot of reasons for why the emissions inventory and so forth and the problems. Actually, Putnam County has a higher air quality problem than surrounding counties. So that's something that jumps right out at you. When you take a look at one of the main sources for that problem, and that's autos. So a lot of our people, drive. We don't have the mass transit that some of these other counties have. So there are things to take a look at: electricity, heating, fuel, deforestation from development, because I say that a lot. Your trees add an awful lot back to the environment. I do also want to make a plug for this Saturday. The Philipstown Garden Club is going to have their Community Eco Action Workshop at the Desmond Fish Library from 10 to 4, it says. But, we'll see how long that is. Don't get scared by that amount of time. You can come anytime during it. They will, this carbon lunch, carbon neutral lunch. I don't know, but that's from 12 to 1, so if you're interested in that, I got talked into being one of the speakers. I will discuss the towns and their efforts and going back to Nancy and Rich, his beginnings and so forth of really working towards environmental issues. Also, because of a last-minute call-out, I'm going to discuss flooding as well. But I really think it's a very good step to being able to kick off this program. There's a lot of people interested. I think we have a very environmentally conscious town. All this is voluntary. We're not forcing anybody to do anything, but it's getting us started to be able to take a look at everything we do and we're involved with and see what we can do to get, I think one of the first clear goals is to get our air quality as good as the surrounding counties. That might be an achievable goal, hopefully, to be able to look at. But I'm very encouraged by that first meeting, and they'll be meeting again on March 15th.
Thanks, Mike.
Okay.
Anything else from the board?
Are you going to discuss anything about what we discussed last night? Any changes?
No, I got to sit down and talk about that. Audience? Yes, Michelle.
Michelle Smith, Hudson Highlands Land Trust. Good evening. I was wanting to follow up on the workshop that we had in January on the scoping out the water study. So I'd sent around, and I've got some copies with me if you would like them, the scope based on the discussion that we had that night. I think it was January 17. We talked about with Russell Urban Mead from Chase, and we talked about the scope of what we wanted to do in terms of refreshing the 2007 study and including a few things. Like we talked about the septic issues in Nelsonville. We talked about some of the Continental Village issues. And also we talked about adding some new stuff that we're waiting to hear if we got grant money for it, for like targeting parcels in the watershed, critical parcels, land parcels that are critical to the water supply, whether it was the Clove Creek Aquifer or the Cold Spring water supply, adding that to the study, and also building a water coalition. So what I wanted to find out is, I don't know if anybody has looked at, I know I sent around by email, I don't know if anybody's looked at the scoping, but what I would like to do is just say to Chase and go ahead and give us a quote. We split the scope into like 5 different segments. The first 2 are basically the refresh of the 2007 study. So hopefully that will be covered by how much you budgeted for that. And then the rest of it, the parts 3 to 5, which deals with building a water coalition, doing the analysis to look at what land parcels would be the most important for conservation. We would hope to cover that with a grant, and we should know in April whether or not we get the grant money that we applied for this. So we hopefully will have good news to report in May at the May meeting. But do you want me to go ahead and get Chase to quote on what I sent around? And like I said, I've got hard copies with me, so I can hand them around.
That would be helpful because then we have an idea of where we're headed financially.
Yeah, because the only Chazen was a little bit hesitant just because if you wanted any dramatic scope change, I mean, it is what we discussed that night, but if you looked at it and said, oh, but you missed this, then they'd have to go back and redo their quote.
It seemed pretty comprehensive, and I mean.
Okay,
if we
so
get
that's
much
what I'll do.
broader, It feels like we're not going to be able to afford it.
All right, good. So then I just wanted to follow up. Mike mentioned something about public education. So I wanted to let people know that Hudson Highlands Land Trust, every year we do a sustainability forum. And this year, of course, it's on water. So we're going to do a forum. It's going to be April 15th. So it's Sunday, April 15th at the Highlands Country Club. It's actually called The Taste of Sprawl. And that's just to set in people's head that what happens with land use, enters your glass. So we're trying to make that connection. And basically in that forum, we're going to bring some people from Newburgh, Beacon, Cornwall, and Philipstown and talk about all the different water issues that are going on in the Hudson Highlands area. And then what people can do. And one of our main objectives goes to something you said before, Mike. One of our main objectives is we really want to get more citizen participation in water testing and engagement in solutions to what we can do on an ongoing basis around our water issues and water quality. So if you have any input on, some of the topics you'd like to see, we've kind of already set the main panel and all the breakouts around the various water issues that are going on around the Hudson Highlands. But if you had something specific on stormwater or something, we'd be happy to see if we can incorporate that. Yeah.
Do you have a keynote speaker or something like that? Or?
So we have several, but basically we have. So Paul Gallay, who's a local resident, the president of Riverkeeper, he's going to be on our main panel, as well as Russell Urban Mead, and he's going to talk about some of the Philipstown issues and what he'd found in the study before, what he's going to be focused on now. And we have DEC, so DEC Estuary Program, the woman that runs their source water program. And we also have somebody who was on the planning board in Newburgh as Newburgh was going through their water crisis, as well as the chair of the CAC from Cornwall, because Cornwall's had another interesting issue, which I think one of you have mentioned before, where another village bought wells and started piping water out of the town.
Yes.
So.
To Rockland, yes.
Yeah.
Here's Joelle has bought land up in Cornwall and wants to ship the water down, and they're all worried up there, losing their own water table if too much is taken. Yes.
Yeah.
It should be.
So we hope to see people there and hope to see the public there.
Yeah, it's always a great event, and I mean they've had such notables as Bill McKibben there in the past, and that's about as big as you get. So it's a serious day and well worthwhile. Anything else? Okay. Vacancies, Recreation Commission 1. Anybody in the paddock?
Nothing.
Jeez. Continental Village Water District.
We had somebody. I'll have to call Mike.
You slip away? Jumped in the water?
Billy
Got away.
Person. It was part of the fire department family, actually. We thought this person would be good for it, so.
Okay. Well, put him in a headlock.
Okay.
Approval of vouchers, General.
So moved.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Highway.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Continental Village Park District.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Continental Village Water District.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I vote aye. Aye. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I vote aye. Thank you.